Hey, what's up guys, my name is Charlie. Today we're going to be doing some more requested reaction videos, and this video was requested by Big Lil. So yeah, he's requested this video, The Game Room by Scott the Woz. Of course, Scott the Woz is totally awesome, he's amazing, we've seen a couple of his videos, and he never fails to please me and entertain me. But yeah, my guess, my Sherlock Holmes opinion is that he's going to be showing his game room. I mean, no shit Sherlock, so to speak. That's my guess, considering by the title of the video, The Game Room by Scott the Woz. So he's going to be showing all his games and stuff like that. That's my guess. I could be wrong. Who knows? But that's my guess. But it's going to be very fascinating because I used to do the same. I used to collect tons of games, but I've gone into the digital age now, unfortunately. I've been collecting digital games mostly over physical copies, which is a very shame because physical games are pretty awesome. You can always resell them, but digital games, you buy them, you can't resell digital games. So there are advantages and disadvantages. But yeah, let's check out the video, shall we? Let's go.
Hey y'all, Scott here. It's time to kick back,
Overfilling that wine a
get
bit.
your heart rate questionably low because today,
That wine.
I'm going to be showing you what happens when drywall and video games come together.
Oh shit.
Video games are pretty cool.
Damn.
They got polygons and they were a waste of $40. But you see, they require hardware, electricity,
Yep.
space, wasting $40, and when you have a lot of physical video games and consoles,
I had a
you
lot
need
of
walls.
physical stuff.
The game room is a concept
Physical
I've
games,
fallen in
consoles.
love with. I've always been
It's
big
a
into
lot
the
of
whole man
space.
cave thing. As a kid, whenever I'd go over to somebody's house and it had a basement filled with a bar and a pool table and all that useless garbage they probably never used, I would always
Yeah.
squee. Having something like that would have been awesome. I wanted a downstairs susceptible to flooding too. I never had a basement, but I've always wanted and still really want one. All nice and cozy, filled with this and this and this. I always wanted a giant room dedicated to video games with
Yeah.
that sort of man cave vibe.
We all do, don't we?
But sometimes you have to make do with what you got.
Yeah,
So
you gotta-
years ago, I took
gotta
my
do
bedroom and turned
what
it
you
into a
got.
makeshift game room, studio, living room, office. You can't really have a
Damn.
game room without amassing a cornucopia of games and systems. And prior to 2013, I would constantly do the unthinkable and sell the games I wasn't playing anymore. Just add me to the list already. This was my setup in 2011. Nothing screams I'm 14 and trying to make the most out
Yep.
of what I got than this.
That's
I'm
our
always
early
interested in
childhood
collecting games and the
sort of
history of
bedroom
the medium in
stages.
general. But of course, when you're that young, you kind of have to sell games so you can get new ones. And the
Yeah.
only game store I could really do that at was GameStop. Because of that, I couldn't really keep a massive collection consistently and couldn't really start buying the retro stuff.
Yeah,
I was
same
limited to
here.
basically whatever GameStop had in stock.
When
Now,
I was 12,
2013 comes
I
around,
was
and
the
with
same,
me being
couldn't
able
really
to drive
grow.
myself and having an actual job, I could start collecting video games and build up what would be my game room. I wanted a room friends could walk into and see so many
Yeah,
games
The
spanning so
Thing,
many
the video
consoles we could
game.
all
That's
play
an amazing
together.
game, The
I
Thing, the
wanted a
video
cool
game.
and effective setup for playing games and
I
watching
saw that.
movies.
Seen
An
you
organized
post these
collection of the
games.
games
Resident
I
Evil
loved
4,
and always
there we
wanted
go.
to play. A room somebody
Far
could
Cry.
walk into and go, "F you got Fling Smash?" This was what I wanted back in June
This is what my
2013.
bedroom
That was
looked
the time I
like.
started working
Just
towards building a game room.
on one
And a
shelf,
full
though.
6 months later, this was after I started? I think I had some NES and SNES games somewhere else. In this later picture, I moved them all to the bottom of this bookshelf. I'm sure you can tell where my hatred for Platinum Hits and Player's Choice started. And what better 3 titles to start rebuilding my GameCube collection with than Mario Golf, WarioWare, and Wave Race? Yeah, only the necessities. Where the hell were my 3DS games? I had the system, I had games for it back then. Where were they? Back then, the consoles I had set up were a Wii U, Xbox 360, and Retron 3.
Yeah.
It was one of those aftermarket consoles that played Genesis,
Damn.
NES, and SNES games. To be fair, it did the job. I think for me back then, and for budding collectors, it's a cheap and efficient way
Yeah.
to play the original cartridges. I also kept all my boxes for everything. Game consoles, accessories,
It
electronics,
adds up.
everything. I just kind of piled them up in the corner. I was worried people wouldn't think I didn't mean business if they didn't see my iPhone 4 box. Over the next few months, I kept on buying more and more stuff every 2 weeks or so, and thus, I had to get serious. I bought a cheap media shelf. I have a love-hate relationship with these. They're called Atlantic media shelves. I'd say if you're just starting to collect, these are great to put games
Yeah,
on.
basic
They look nice
collectors.
and they're cheap. But the problem is, they're cheap. They
Yeah.
just never felt sturdy enough, really. I was always
Yeah.
kind of concerned they'd fall over or
You
break
need
or
heavy
something.
duty.
I think the most impressive collection increase at this time was the GameCube for me. I amassed some good stuff by this point, including multiple sets of Donkey Kong bongos. Again, only the necessities. I loved building the 360 and original Xbox collections.
Yeah,
And this was right smack in the
Xbox
middle
original
of the Wii U
games I
era,
used to collect
so I
as
picked up
well.
new releases as they came out, alongside filling out my Wii library with the must-have games I didn't own already. A few months later, it got to the point where I had to get even more serious. I bought another cheap media shelf. This was a setup I could get behind. It was so balanced. 2 shelves between the TV and game consoles.
Yeah, it's pretty
Sure,
stylish.
this bookshelf
It's
never really screamed,
acceptable.
put an Xbox in me. But it did the job. The classic end labels for my Nintendo 64 games. I printed these off and spanked them on with Scotch tape. Yeah, that didn't work the greatest. It just ended up
Oh,
peeling
fuck,
off like
Superman
crazy, retracting
64,
hair and
no.
random stuff. I don't know, like pretzels or something.
Why
I'm
do
getting
I
a
have to
lot
keep
more
seeing
NES
Superman
games, and my Game Boy
64?
collection
Why does
was
that have
sitting
to torture
peacefully in
me?
shambles on a single shelf. This setup was great. It was how I beat Mega Man 2, the way I set up my original PS4 for the first time. I hated it. I changed it half a year later. Let's
Yeah, good
welcome this
idea.
beaut of an entertainment center. This was perfect for housing systems, and it looked nice. Yeah, but that meant I had to
Yeah.
move the shelves over to the right side of the room, which, hey, if you've seen this room, you know the iconic wall slant. That made putting shelves against it difficult, but it
Yeah,
worked
I
in the end.
fucking hate
Eventually, I
those
had to
sort
take
of
the old bookshelf that
angled
was once the stomping
roofs.
grounds for my consoles
The wall
and use
shape.
it for my overflow of games and Time Crisis 3. I bought a third cheap media shelf. Oh, hey, Call of Duty Black Ops on the Wii, where it belongs. I eventually did a full-blown switcheroo. Moved the TV where the shelves were, moved the shelves where the TV was. Oh, I bought a 4th cheap media shelf. It was then I decided to forego the cheap media shelf lifestyle and enter the realm of Sweden. IKEA is not only the best place to buy furniture,
You can
it's the best
customize
place.
it.
I mean,
Yeah,
come
you
on,
can
food,
DIY.
furniture, for God's
You
sakes,
can-
they have dollar rats. I upgraded to a good few IKEA Billy bookcases, and there's not much an IKEA Billy bookcase can't do. I wanted these because they were way sturdier, plus being much deeper allowed for more things to fit in them. The old shelves were about as deep as a standard DVD case. Some things just couldn't fit on them. Problem was, I had to stack 2 of these bookcases. It made things crazy tall. I wouldn't recommend this, but it was all I could have
Is
done
that the
considering the
NES
amount of
Mini?
games I had and the
Super
space I had to
NES
work
Mini.
with. Overall, I love this room. It was where I
Nintendo.
spent a good chunk of my childhood, and I definitely transformed it into my own little virgin circus, but it was obvious I was outgrowing it. I barely have
Halo.
any room anymore. My
Halo
computer
original.
desk was right smack in front of my NES games. That's no way to store ranking. I needed a room specifically for the games, a room just for the console setup, and a room to just go to sleep. Sleeping in the same room you play Devil's Third and really does something to you. After a certain happened, I moved into my own apartment, and thus we have BAM, a room for games? This is my
Yeah,
current game room, and I'm pretty
nice.
happy with everything as it is. There's not like a ton of room for expansion. But I
Yeah,
can
but
definitely
it's
make things work if I need
acceptable.
more
It's
space.
yeah,
But
it's
of course,
workable.
we gotta start here. I have all my main game consoles I
Xbox
consistently play in the
original,
living room
Nintendo
down the hall.
64,
I upgraded the
Xbox
TV
One.
stand to this, and it evokes the spirit
Nice.
of the original one I used, but has more of these shelves for
GameCube.
consoles. I
It's
really
got the
like this
wireless
style of
controller
TV
plug-in.
stand because there's a hole in each section to feed wires through.
That
See, that's
Xbox
one of
is
my least
dusty,
favorite things
Jesus.
about setups. I look slightly behind the TV stand, and it's terrifying. I went for
I
more
know,
of a
the
wood look
wires.
compared to the black coat of paint
Oh.
of my old one because
those
while I
wires.
think the black looked cooler, it showed dust like crazy.
Hmm.
This style hides imperfections much better in my opinion. I mainly keep consoles that I use a lot hooked up at all times. Of course, systems like the PS3, 360, OG Xbox, N64, and GameCube are plugged into the dreaded surge protector that's left unplugged and is only plugged in when I want to play any of these systems of doom. I keep them out here because they're systems I have a lot of games for, but I don't play them enough to warrant a greater fire hazard than I already have by leaving everything plugged in all the time.
Yeah, make
PS4,
sure not to
Xbox
leave
One,
all the
Wii U,
consoles
and
plugged in
Switch
all at
are always
once.
plugged in just
Always
because
turn it
I
on
play
when
them
you
the
use
most.
them.
Of course you may go, wait, you keep
The Angry
Wii
Video
U
Gamer
plugged in?
does the
Yeah,
same.
I hate me too for saying I still use the Wii U frequently, but it's
Wii
my
U is
way
still
of playing a ton of
respectable.
generations of Nintendo games.
Yeah,
I play Wii
Wii
U,
U is
Wii, and Virtual
respectable.
Console games on this thing.
It's good.
Until the Switch gets all or a good chunk of that stuff, I'm leaving this plugged in, unfortunately.
And it can
But
play
what about the
GameCube
Xbox
games,
One?
the
Do I use
original
that
Wii U
frequently?
anyway.
No, but all these systems were kind of made with the
Nintendo-
intention of being
Nintendo
left
Wii,
plugged
not
in.
Wii
I
U.
mean, the PS4 screams at you if you unplug it in properly, so I'll just do what it tells me. I know probably all systems are made with the intention of being left plugged in, but stuff like the Switch just goes into sleep mode.
Nintendo Wii is
PS4 has rest
respectable.
mode, and these guys
Not
are the most
Nintendo
modern
Wii U.
consoles,
With-
so all
the
that
Wii
adds up
U
to me
was
just leaving
crappy.
these plugged in. I use the Super Retro Trio Plus for playing Genesis, NES, and
Nintendo Wii
SNES
is
games. You
respectable.
see, I never grew out of that
Shaq
shitty aftermarket
Fu.
console phase of my life. Now, I mainly use this as a means to play these types of games through HDMI. It's actually pretty damn good, though with the main flaw being that all the games are stretched into widescreen. Would you ever trust somebody that looked like this? A lot of TVs have a feature to squish a widescreen image back to 4:3, and if you're using this console to get a gameplay footage, you can always format the screen properly while editing. It doesn't make it less annoying though. I house most of my controllers in this bookshelf here, with either just one or two in a
Wow.
Ziploc bag. That
Look
helps
at
me stay
those.
organized and keep the controller wires from taggling up and things getting
Also,
too funky. Now, the
golden
only other
GameCube
game-related
controller
doodad
there
I
from
have
the
in
Zelda
my living room
collection.
is my beloved Galaga Arcade 1-Up cabinet. I always
Ugh.
wanted an arcade machine. I've
1-Up.
specifically looked at this one right here, the Pac-Man Arcade Party one. I love the old school Namco arcade titles, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Rally X,
Mm.
Dig Dug, and definitely Galaga. I've always wanted an old school Namco arcade cabinet with either
We've
a
all
few or
wanted
all of these games I
gaming
fell in
arcade
love with.
cabinets.
The thing is, arcade machines can be stupid expensive, a pain to move, especially into a smaller apartment like this, and can be tricky to maintain. Arcade 1-Up makes these cabinets that are specifically made for at-home use. They're smaller than a regular cabinet, but big enough to still feel like an arcade machine. The base model is supposed to be played while
Arcade
sitting
1-Up.
down.
I'm
I
gonna
love
get
this
a couple of
riser.
those.
Is it perfect?
I've
No.
seen these
Is it
before,
better
I've
than
been
an actual
researching
arcade
them.
machine? Does it have better controls? Again, no.
No,
but
but
everything in my
it's
opinion
cheaper,
is good enough
efficient,
for the $250
and
bucks I paid for this.
yeah.
And for casual arcade fans who always wanted an arcade-like experience in their
It's
homes,
cheap and affordable.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the original machine's quality is way better with, like,
course, it's
paint
superior,
and sticks and
yeah.
buttons. But the
But
1-Up cab
this
still
is
feel like
still
an arcade machine.
respectable.
Not as good, but it does the trick.
Yeah,
it's
it's
lightweight, it's easy to
respectable.
move, and I officially have a Galaga arcade machine. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's pretty lame to me that the Namco releases only have 2 games on them each, though. They have like a Street Fighter 2 one and these Atari ones that include more
Yeah.
games, but here it's just Galaga and Galaxian. I'm sorry, Galaxian is fine, but you give me the choice between the two, I will always play Galaga.
I'd like
so it
Golden
really
Axe
has
on
one.
the arcade
I'm
machine.
hoping for a
That'd be
Namco
pretty cool.
Museum arcade 1-Up cab. Something along the lines of the arcade party machine I wanted. Anyways, let's move over to the meat and potatoes, the cream of the crop of any game room. The game room. Here we have Sex Wall. I kept with the Billy bookcases from IKEA, but just like what I did with the TV stand, I opted for this light wood grain style instead of the black. Like I said, the black looks cooler, but it shows too much dust. The modern games
Yeah.
start things off. Everything's in very rough chronological order of when the system's release. Like the Switch starts, it then goes to Xbox One, PS4, PS3 next for some fucking reason, and Wii U.
Why?
I flopped the PS4 and PS3 together just because the cases are around the same size and they're both PlayStation consoles. I thought it fit well. The Wii U collection. Oh boy, it's one of my darkest secrets. I own nearly half of the
Wii U.
North American library for this thing. It's something I kind of like whittling away at. I'm not necessarily looking to get a full set, but if I get there one day... Okay, sure, that's what...
I prefer the Nintendo
Basically
Wii,
all
not the
good
Wii U.
games and
Wii
nearly all
U's
the
a bit
Nintendo first-party titles,
chunky
except
for me.
Mario
I don't
and
like
Sonic
the-
at the real 2016
The camera was useless.
Next
the-
shelf we have Wii and GameCube.
felt like
The
a
Wii games,
chopping
I kinda
board
own
for
all
me,
the major
the
ones I've
Wii U.
always wanted. I think the last one I was able to check off was Kirby's Dream Collection. There are definitely some I still want, so if I see something I want at a good price, yeah, I'll do the unthinkable and buy it. But overall, I'm pretty content where I'm at. GameCube, similar story. I'm definitely still missing
GameCube.
some of the
I want
must-haves
lots of
compared to the
GameCube
Wii,
games.
and mainly because GameCube games are
Have
just
Eternal
way harder to
Darkness,
come
please.
by.
Eternal
But I have
Darkness.
most of the
Where is
major
it?
ones I want.
I can't see it
Xbox
enough.
360 and original
Xbox
Xbox. Listen, I
360.
love both of these consoles, but
Original
they're also
Xbox
in the
games.
I've gotten almost everything I really want for them camp, and it saddens me. I
Condemned
generally have an unwritten
2.
rule with most
Love
consoles.
that
I
game.
generally pick
Resident
my
Evil.
go-to platform
Yes,
for a
Rayman.
generation, and that's where I buy most of my multi-platform games.
Bioshock,
It's PS4. Generation before that, it was the 360. Generation before that, it's the original Xbox. This console is great. It was the most powerful at the time.
X-Men
On top of
Origins
that, it's a
Wolverine,
library
yes.
of exclusives. I don't know why
That
my
game,
collection
fuck
splits
me, I
off and
played the shit
continues
out
all
of
the way
that.
over here. I just don't. The retro shelf. Contrary to me being a stupid kid, I grew up with all these systems in one way or another. Whether
Yeah.
it was playing the NES at my grandma's house, playing SNES games on the Game Boy Advance, N64 games with my cousins, I just straight up had a Genesis. I love the older games. They're some of my favorites to collect and fiddle around with. NES games are fairly cheap in comparison to the other platforms, especially
Ghostbusters.
considering a lot in this collection is
fuck
just
me.
pure garbage. I haven't really delved into the
Zelda
X
the
and
Golden
Homebrews market for any
cartridges.
system,
Amazing.
but I do have the reproduction Nintendo World Championship, Campus Challenge, and PowerFest cartridges for both the NES and SNES. I
Nice.
love these things. They're the coolest to own. SNES games are dumb expensive, so I still have a ways to go. Definitely some key titles missing, and collecting
Yeah.
N64 has never been my favorite. I'm in the
It's a
camp
bit
that
too
believes
chunky.
the vast majority of games on the platform have aged poorly or just were never that great to begin with. Still some of my favorite games of all time
Super
are on
Mario
this system,
64,
but it's one of my least
Mario
favorite
Kart
Nintendo systems to
64
play
is
today.
good.
I did buy these end labels on Etsy. I believe from this seller. You just get a full set of all Nintendo 64 game labels, and they do the trick.
Yeah,
Genesis.
it's pretty smart.
I love picking up good Genesis games in the box. It's kind of like people don't talk about some of the best Genesis titles as much as Nintendo systems, so it's just really fun to pick up these games. Some
Ghosts
of my
and
personal
Ghosts.
favorites. McDonald's Treasureland Adventures,
McDonald's,
Ghostbusters, Castlevania
Ghostbusters,
Bloodline, Get Out of My
Castlevania.
Life, Comic Zone. The final major game shelf is kind of just all the systems I don't have much for, and DS shit. DS, 3DS, my Game Boy Advance games, which I made covers and used DS boxes for years ago. I really should redo these and make new ones for my other GBA games. I printed these off on a garbage inkjet printer. I don't own a lot of original Game Boy and Game Boy Advance cartridges just because they don't come with plastic boxes for them. And it's just hard to warrant spending a good chunk of change on games this tiny that don't come with a case. Don't get me wrong, I care more about the actual games and playing them compared to the cases. But it just makes it harder to remember what Game Boy games I have physically when they're all just kind of in a bag somewhere.
Yeah,
Which
it suck
again
if
just
you
makes
just
it hard
put
to
'em in a
warrant
bag.
buying new ones. I should really get into that. I love the Game Boy line. We got these PS1 and Dreamcast collections to spice your day up. Austin Powers Pinball, anyone?
PlayStation games, I love them.
The system was never really my thing. I'd always rather
PlayStation
play
2
the
was
Xbox or
alright for...
GameCube. Then we have the final shelf area.
Oh, the
which
thing,
is just a bunch
Xbox
of
original.
What the hell ever.
No.
Afterburner on
Play
the
that.
Master System. Yeah, sure, I don't even own one. Star Fox 64 promotional
Simpsons
VHS tape.
Hit and
I
Run,
also
one of
own
my
two
favorite
Sega CD
Simpsons
games, one
games of
Sega
all
Saturn
time.
game, and then an awkward
Time
one-box
Splitters,
PS1
Super
game. Yeah, I mean, it
Perfect.
wouldn't be a collection without 'em.
State
Next
of
up, we got all my
Emergency.
extra
Yes,
systems
I
or
had that as
consoles
well.
I'm not using right now. Original NES, SNES, the classic editions of said systems, the NES Top Loader, Dreamcast, Saturn, Genesis 32X, CD, PS2, my original PS4, and Wii, plus containers with all the extra wires and stuff I need for them. Finally, we have my computer desk where I work and evade taxes. And that's the current game room. There's a closet too. Yeah, this is
nice.
basically where all the extra stuff goes. Boxes,
With the boxes,
amiibo,
I've got
books,
the same. I've
magazines,
got a
other
cupboard
random
just for
collectibles.
boxes.
There's definitely an argument to be made the closet of extra stuff is more interesting than the actual game room. As
Keep
it
the
is,
boxes
I like
because
the room.
the
I don't have to
boxes are very
compromise too much
important.
of what I want out of a game room due to the space, and I'm thankful for that.
Oh, it's a
Is
modded
there anybody who
GameCube you
actually
had there.
stacks games like this voluntarily? Or puts games
HDMI
behind more games?
GameCube.
Like, yeah, that saves space, but my god, this is how games were meant to be stored. Everything is alphabetical here. I understand that's a huge undertaking if you have a lot of games, but I started alphabetizing these things long ago, so it's fairly easy to keep up for me. I mean, come on, it's easy to find anything I want. It
Oh,
makes
Call
it
of
kinda fun to
Duty,
put
no.
new games on the shelf too, because
I
you have
fucking
to
hate
figure out
Call
where
of
it goes
Duty.
alphabetically. It's great. An exception I have to alphabetizing is the Zelda games. Normally I file them
Zelda.
under L for Legend of Zelda, but the NES titles I put at the very end of the collection. The second one is just called Zelda 2, so it would be apart from the first one regardless. They're both the gold cartridges, so I thought, yeah, it makes sense to cap off the collection with these. I usually do that with sequels, put
Rayman,
them
Resident
together
Evil 4,
with the
Resident
connecting
Evil
games, even if
5.
it doesn't fit alphabetically. And I'm looking at you, Tomb Raider. I'm very happy with how
Tomb
everything's
Raider.
set up currently. Well, come on, I can dream big, can't I? Scott's dream game room. Well, it'd have to be a basement, totally decked
Yep.
out, nice and cozy. We got all the games organized via the shelves, not a ton of clutter. 2 TVs, a nice big 4K one, and then a CRT for the retro consoles.
Yeah,
I'm kind of
this is
hoping
our
that in the
dream.
future, a company that specializes in the retro
My
game
dream
market
one
creates
day.
a new CRT TV. I mean, that would be expensive as all hell. I don't know how possible that would be. The majority of the parts necessary for these things aren't being produced anymore.
Yeah.
But hey, a new CRT specifically designed for retro games, that would be great.
That would be
If
swell.
it's never gonna
That'd be
happen,
swell.
I can always check the dump. I'd be super down to pick up more of the arcade 1-up cabinets if I had the room. You get a little mini home arcade going. Well, who knows, maybe I could finally commit myself to an actual cabinet. But I personally believe Arcade 1-Up is perfect for at-home use. Again, I still wouldn't keep all consoles plugged in, that's a little ridiculous. Instead, I'd opt to get nice cabinets to store all the systems I don't use frequently.
However,
I'd want to
glass
display them in a
would
way where maybe
be-
all the cords needed to plug them in are in a box that's propping the system up in the cabinet.
Glass
Of
can be
course, a cool-looking
sometimes
bar,
bad
pool
because they can
table, or
scratch
some fun
easily.
thing like that. Air hockey, foosball, maybe even a pinball machine. My goal is to eventually have the greatest man cave ever for a divorced bachelor in his 50s. Game rooms have always fascinated me. I
Yeah.
love watching tours of them online, whether in video or just photos, regardless of how big they are even. I don't know about anybody else, but I find a certain beauty
That's
in the
pretty cool.
simplest of game rooms. Don't get me wrong, the huge one with walls lined with games are jaw-dropping sometimes.
Yeah.
But the more humble and smaller ones are a bit more engaging for me to look at. It's cool to see all the stuff somebody owns when they can't buy whatever they
Yeah,
want.
you gotta do
It
what
means
you
they're much more
gotta-
attached to the few games and systems
Yeah,
they
you gotta
have. It
deal
brings
with
me
what you've
back to
got.
when I first started collecting and started to try to form a game room of my own.
Mm.
Now I'm at this point, and I like it. Things were way more fun back when I was first starting out because I was finally buying all these games I always wanted. But I'm happy where I'm at, and a lot of people in the beginning stages of collecting ask how I was able to afford all this. You see, here's the thing, I bought most of this junk while I was in high school. Most of my paycheck
Yeah,
would go towards
same
this
here.
stuff. Like, come on,
Yeah.
what other expenses did I
Most
have
of
back in
my
high
would
school?
go to high
Medical
school.
bills? Please, I've had this dark spot on my thigh for the past 6 years, and nothing's happened. I don't need a doctor. So all in all, I like my game room. There's not much I can really complain about. Except that does happen sometimes.
Oh, shit. Oh, damn. All his stuff just went on the floor. Okay, that's the end of the video. I'm just enjoying the retro music. Okay, that's the end of the video. There we go. Unfortunately, I mean, I'm a digital game collector now. I collect digital games on Steam. I had the same sort of collection. I had tons of Xbox original games, Xbox 360 games, tons of GameCube games, and I just had like walls of them. Unfortunately, I don't have them anymore. I got rid of them all when I was like in my sort of high school phase, because that's what I mostly spent my money on in high school. It's just video games. In high school, I just spent all my money on video games, just buying games, just constant buying games. It was real shocking. I must have had over 500 to about 1,000 games, physical games. I mean, it was insane. And then I went on the Xbox 360, and then I had like 1,000 digital games. And that's when I started to go into the digital phase. When I was on the Xbox 360, I started like having about 1,000 Xbox or 360 games. I couldn't download all the games on my hard drive, but the amount of money I spent, honestly, is insane. And mostly it was just cheap indie games actually, so it wasn't like a lot of AAA games. I did have the high like AAA games and stuff, but most of it was just like arcade games, you know. But yeah, I mean, I've been in that sort of stage where, you know, you're in high school and you got to do with what you've got. You know, everyone dreams of a huge room with LED lights and with tons of games in the background. I've got that. I've got LED lights and everything. I just don't use them. I've got a video. What I can do, I can upload a video of one of my gaming room setup videos. Because I made a YouTube video a while back, but I didn't upload it. I sort of entered it into a competition thing, the best sort of gaming room setup things. But what I'll do is I'll sort of get the video and upload it on my channel, if that's alright, if it'll be pretty cool to show my gaming room if people are interested. Um, and then I've got like Xbox original games and Xbox 360 games, what I used to have in my collection. And I can show those videos as well. I can drag them up. I think I've got them on my PC. It was back in 2007, those Xbox original games and Xbox 360 games. And so excuse the 280p, whatever, the horrible quality, 240p, whatever it is. It's going to be absolutely god-awful quality. It's going to be really terrible. But yeah, it's going to be very fascinating if you're interested in seeing sort of like behind the scenes. But yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm a digital collector now, but I would like to get physical games, actually. I think I might get back into collecting physical games. Watching the Angry Video Game Nerd and, you know, and seeing Scott the Woz and seeing him all collect these games in the background, I think I'm starting to get a passion for it again. You know, I lost passion a long time ago with collecting physical games. I headed towards the digital age. But I'm getting a feel for the physical game collection again. I really am. I think I might just have a couple of bookshelves of full of games. I mean, like a couple of games. It would be totally awesome. But anyway, yeah, that's the end of the video. If you like this video, make sure to give a like, comment down below, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.